Even if you put some respect on my name and say, listen, I fight anyone, I don't care. I'm always ready to go. I'm willing to take fight.
Moses, do you want to see Dillian carry on?
No, definitely not.
Not got a future with any other heavyweights?
No, but you could see the shots, you know. I mean, Dillian's renowned for his toughness. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, I think he was, you know, those shots were cupping shots, but you could tell I think his punch resistance gone, and I think that'll be the end for him now.
So, with respect to Itauma, I mean, he knew that he can get him out, and he got him out straight away. I mean, I think no one expected it to finish that quick.
Speed kills, as you know.
Speed kills, and he had but not only the speed, he had the power with that, and the accuracy was on.
Dillian Whyte calls out Moses Itauma again, desperate for a rematch right after suffering that brutal first-round defeat. Flattened in seconds, embarrassed on the big stage, yet he still comes back shouting for another shot. It feels less like confidence and more like a man refusing to accept he's been eclipsed by the new generation.
Joshua's just lost. That's a rematch that I want, and that's one that the British public want to see as well, and there'll be a lot of interest in that worldwide as well. So, you know, that's a big.
Dillian got folded in round 1, but still runs his mouth like nothing happened. Instead of admitting Moses smashed him, he hides behind excuses, inexperience, tiredness, and all that rubbish. Bro, you weren't outboxed, you were outclassed. Fans know it. Moses turned you into a highlight reel.
Because I'm a fighter, I know what to fight. He's had more amateur fights than me and all of this other you know. He's doing what he's meant to know. And one thing is, he's got the what's the word I'm looking for? The ignorance of inexperience.
And then Dean Whyte tries covering the embarrassment with his own excuses. Dean Whyte tries to spin the loss by blaming injuries and unlucky shots. But fans saw the reality. Dillian was out of his depth. Moses didn't need luck to smash him. He needed seconds. No excuses can erase the image of a veteran crumbling against raw power.
Quickly, but I think everyone's talking about, you know, Dillian having an injury, and I think they've probably got wind of that and thought that we're just going to press it early and see what we're given. And, you know, he was caught quite early on the back of the head and on the side. And
Duke McKenzie basically humiliates Dillian, reducing his rematch call out to nothing more than chasing a payday. Everyone knows Moses was never a scalp he could claim. He was just easy money for the young star. Dillian's reputation got flattened quicker than his chin.
When you look at your career, at the end of your career, you'll look at your bank balance and say to yourself, you know what, it was worth it. Dillian Whyte can look at his bank balance and say, last night's fight was worth it. Did he do it for the money? He probably did. You know, Moses Itauma is a huge name, and it would have been a massive scalp to have had, but it was never going to be the case.
And Amir Khan adds even more salt to the wounds. Amir Khan straight up humiliates Dillian's rematch dreams, saying speed and power destroyed him before he could even blink. The plan was for Whitey's experience to shine, but Moses ripped it apart. That first round knockout was no accident. It was a warning that Dillian's time is finished.
I think no one expected it to finish that quick.
Speed kills, as you know.
Speed kills, and he had but not only the speed, he had the power with that, and the accuracy was on point. I mean, I didn't think it was gonna. I mean, I thought it'd be the opposite, where Dillian might win the first couple of rounds with his power, but I think it just shows how strong Itauma is and how powerful he is. He's a big threat in heavyweight boxing.
Dave Coldwell doesn't hold back. He calls it straight, Dillian Whyte's rematch. Call-out looks laughable because, as Coldwell says, this was the fight that ended him. Everyone knew Moses was too much, and yet Dillian still walked into the storm. What he got was not just a defeat, but a brutal punctuation mark at the end of his career. The way Moses smashed him in round 1, it wasn't a contest, it was a demolition. Coldwell makes it clear, this wasn't just a bad night. This was the kind of finish that leaves scars, physically and mentally. So when Dillian stands up afterwards, still asking for a rematch, it sounds delusional. Fans know it. Pundits know it. His pride is all that's talking now. And that's why his callouts don't spark excitement. They spark pity. Moses proved the gulf is too wide.
It's way too much for him, and it's going to be, you know, quite a nasty ending for him. A nasty ending to a career. I was worried for Dillian going into that this would be that fight, and it was. I mean, that you don't get as, you know, it can't be any worse than that to to punctuate a career, to end a career.
And Antonio Tarver takes the humiliation even further. Antonio Tarver absolutely buries Dillian Whyte with his take. He says it plain, Dillian didn't stand a chance. That rematch call-out sounds pathetic when the first fight showed he couldn't even land properly on Moses. Instead, he got mauled like an amateur. Tarver highlights what fans already believe. Moses needs real tests now, not old washed-up names like Whyte clinging to relevance. And that's the humiliation. Dillian isn't seen as a threat anymore, just a stepping stone. His reputation as a credible opponent is shattered. When Tarver dismisses him so casually, it stings worse than the knockout itself. Because it's one thing to be beaten, it's another to be labeled washed up on the world stage. Moses gained momentum, while Dillian lost his place in the conversation. And still, after such a demolition, he dares to call for a rematch? Tarver's words make it sound like pure comedy.
Whyte came in here being knocked out a couple times, wanted to see could he land a punch on this young kid, but he didn't have a chance tonight. He got mowed over, and this is a big win for a young guy. But he got to continue to fight credible opponents, and he got to get tested. He got to fight a young fighter like himself and beat a credible opponent like that, not these old, washed-up fighters that he can only just look good.
Buddy McGirt's words only pile on the humiliation. He makes it crystal clear Dillian wasn't in control, he wasn't robbed, he wasn't unlucky, he was gone. The referee saved him from worse punishment because his legs were gone and his head was scrambled. That's the reality fans saw too. So when Dillian comes out afterwards shouting for a rematch, it's not just brave talk, it's delusion. McGirt is telling the truth. Whyte couldn't even stand straight. How on earth can he think about beating Moses in a second fight? The referee did him a favor. If it continued, Moses would have finished him in even uglier fashion. And that's the humiliation. People aren't debating if Dillian deserves a rematch, they're debating if he should retire. Calling out Moses again after such a stoppage doesn't make him look like a warrior. It makes him look like he's in denial.
Dillian wanted to continue. The referee, of course, called it off. Do you feel that that was the right call for that to happen?
Oh, I think, yes, without a doubt, definitely. He made the right call. I think that Dill should have stayed down and taken the 8 count, then got up. But he bounced right back up. And his equilibrium was still off. And I told him, I said, you couldn't stand up straight. The referee could not let you go out.
In terms of Dillian's future, I think he said on social media that he won't make any rash decisions, but maybe looks to want to continue. Do you feel the same way that Dillian is still?
And then Mark Tibbs twists the knife even deeper with his blunt words. Mark Tibbs gives Dillian a backhanded compliment before tearing down his rematch hopes. Yes, he admits Whyte looked in good shape, but that's where the positivity ends. The truth is, Tibbs calls it how it is. Dillian is in his twilight years, his body is breaking down, and he can't keep up anymore. That's the harsh reality Moses exposed in one brutal round. The talk of aches, pains, and weight struggles only reinforces the idea that Dillian is finished at the top level. And when someone like Tibbs highlights those cracks, it makes Dillian's rematch callouts look embarrassing. Because fans don't want excuses, they want results. Moses didn't just beat him physically, he exposed the age, the wear and tear, the end of an era. And yet Dillian, instead of accepting the decline, shouts for another fight. To many, it sounds less like hunger and more like delusion.
That good. I thought Dillian shaped up well. I thought he was in fantastic nick. But when you're at your twilight years and you're working on your weight, etc., it's taxing on yourself, and I'm pretty sure he had to.
Even Derek Chisora, who has wars of his own with Whyte, admits it. This wasn't the ending anyone wanted. But the truth is, Dillian was done the moment Moses landed clean. Chisora tries softening the blow by mentioning southpaw inexperience, but let's be real, southpaw or orthodox. Moses was always too fast, too sharp, too ruthless. The knockout wasn't about stance, it was about one fighter rising and another declining. And that's where Dillian's rematch callout feels delusional. He wasn't unlucky, he wasn't tricked by angles, he was battered and finished inside a single round. For fans, it's humiliating to hear him beg for another shot after such a brutal defeat, when even his old rivals pity him. Moses isn't just a puzzle for Whyte, he's a nightmare. And Chisora's sadness only highlights the obvious. This wasn't just a defeat, it was the final nail in YT's run.
Hey, listen, you He got caught with the head on the temple. And then after that, it was a long night for him. I'm a bit sad because I didn't want him to go out like that.
Eddie Hearn, who once built Dillian up, delivers perhaps the harshest blow. He openly says retirement should be next. That in itself is humiliating for a fighter still shouting for rematches. Eddie's words make it clear, age, inactivity, and the savage knockout from Moses have pushed Whyte past the point of no return. The way Hearn calls the fight more than a disastrous start says it all. This wasn't a slow decline, it was a crash landing. For Dillian to call out Moses again after this is almost tragic, because not even his own promoter believes he belongs in that conversation anymore. Eddie even shifts talk towards other names like Usyk, showing Moses is now the one with momentum. Dillian has become yesterday's headline, a fighter whose pride won't let him quit, but to the world his rematch callouts feel empty, almost comical. Moses ended the rivalry before it could even begin.
You know, mojo from Dillian, but listen, it's very difficult when you're 38 years old. You've been out of the ring for a couple of years and you've just had that Tete fight and you fight a brilliant young sharp fighter. We said that, you know, unless he gets into the fight, it's going to be a disastrous start for him, and it was more than a disastrous start.
Would you want to see Dillian retire?
Yeah, 100%.
What next for Moses? Because there was talk about Usyk and
I wanted to see him in with a live active heavyweight, you know, because he's definitely good enough to.
And Spencer Brown sums it up perfectly, leaving Dillian nowhere to hide. Spencer Brown's words are the final nail. He openly says he doesn't even know what version of Dillian showed up. That's humiliation at its peak. For a man still demanding a rematch, to be described as looking weak all week long is brutal. Brown gives Moses all the credit: speed, power, accuracy, the complete package that shredded Whyte in a single round. And the line about Dillian being a top 10 fighter, or he was, cuts the deepest. Past tense, that's the harshest truth. Moses didn't just beat him, he erased his status, pushed him out of the rankings in spirit if not officially, and that's why Dillian's rematch callout feels so empty. The gap between them is obvious. Fans saw a rising star destroy a fading veteran, and no amount of shouting from Whyte can change that. Brown's verdict is simple: Moses is the future, Dillian is the past.
I don't know what he beat tonight in Dillian. All week he looks a bit weak to me. I don't know if you saw him, but look, you've got to take your hat off to him. He beat a seasoned top 10 fighter, or he was a top 10 fighter, and he's such a nice kid. He's got every attribute you could want, and he hurts and knocks people out. Speed kills, and that's what he's.
So here we are, Dillian Whyte, fresh off the most humiliating first-round knockout of his career, still screaming for a rematch against Moses Itauma, and honestly, it's become painful to watch. Every pundit, every ex-fighter, even his own promoter has basically told him it's over, yet pride keeps dragging him back. This isn't about unfinished business, it's about a man who can't live with the truth that a teenage heavyweight prospect demolished him in seconds. If a rematch happens, what changes? Does Whyte suddenly find youth, speed, and chin overnight? No chance. Moses is only getting sharper, stronger, hungrier, while Dillian is clinging to a reputation already smashed to pieces. The real story now isn't whether Whyte deserves another chance, it's whether he can protect what's left of his legacy, because one more beating from Moses, and that legacy is gone forever. The question for the fans is simple: are you backing the new king Moses Itauma to finish the job again, or do you believe Dillian Whyte can shock the world? Drop your thoughts below. So here we are, Dillian Whyte, fresh off the most humiliating first-round knockout of his career, still screaming for a rematch against Moses Itauma, and honestly, it's become painful to watch. Every pundit, every ex-fighter, even his own promoter has basically told him it's over, yet pride keeps dragging him back. This isn't about unfinished business, it's about a man who can't live with the truth that a teenage heavyweight prospect demolished him in seconds. If a rematch happens, what changes? Does Whyte suddenly find youth, speed, and chin overnight? No chance. Moses is only getting sharper, stronger, hungrier, while Dillian is clinging to a reputation already smashed to pieces. The real story now isn't whether Whyte deserves another chance, it's whether he can protect what's left of his legacy, because one more beating from Moses, and that legacy is gone forever. The question for the fans is simple: are you backing the new king Moses Itauma to finish the job again, or do you believe Dillian Whyte can shock the world? Drop your thoughts below.